Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a part 2 of the 5 love languages of children, which is going to be words of affirmation. So if you saw my previous video, it was part 1 and it was on physical touch. So I'm going to be doing a recap / review on what the book is about. And if you haven't checked out my previous video, check it out now so you can catch up. So this is what the book looks like. I highly recommend it, and yeah, so let's get started. As always, we must first start with a definition. So what are words of affirmation? According to the book, words of endearment are words of praise and encouragement, words that give positive guidance and they let the kid know, I care about you. They nurture the child's inner worth and it gives them security. When giving a child words of affirmation, they can reap so many benefits that will last them a lifetime. They will start to think positively about themselves and have encouraging thoughts about them being able to do a challenge or conquer any obstacle, as opposed to words spoken out of frustration that have a negative impact. Those kind of words can cause a child's self-esteem to be shattered, and he or she will start to doubt their abilities for their future or the present or whatever it is that they're doing. So be very mindful about how you speak to a child, because when they hear an adult speak, they believe that what we're saying is literal. There is such a thing as the right kind of praise or the right kind of positive affirmations. When giving a child praise, we want to be careful about what we say to them and how often we say these words of affirmation to them. Just like anything, the more and more you say something, the less value it holds. For example, you might say something like, you're such a good girl. Now, those are great words, but just be mindful of when you're using those words. You want to use those kind words when your child has done something that they feel positive about, and so you reward them with positive affirmation words. You don't say good girl because, you eat your food. That's just, a given. You eat your food. But perhaps you do say, wow, you're such a good girl when you don't make a mess on the floor, or when you petted that dog nicely. Don't just say good girl and throw it out there. Also, we don't want to praise them with words when they're doing things that perhaps are just average, like, wow, that was a great catch, and it was really pretty just average. Just be honest with your kids, because this is going to help them evolve and get better at them actually doing something. But if you tell them great, they're gonna say, wow, that was great, okay, awesome, and they won't really try to be better because they already maxed at great. The book says that children know when praise is given for justified reasons and when it's given to simply make them feel good. They may later interpret this as being insincere, like they know, oh, that wasn't great, why are they saying that's great? Oh, that's not really how you feel. Like, Mom, why are you saying that was great? I know that wasn't great. If you praise too frequently, as I mentioned, your words will have little effect on these kids. For some kids, they might be so used to hearing this that they will start to expect it and become used to it even when they don't do anything that merits it. Like, for example, they might be like, Mom, did you see that? And it's like, yeah, you just ran from point A to point B. What's so special about that? Be like, well, I ran. Well, you came in last place. I don't get it. So make sure you're not really getting them used to praise all the time, especially if they didn't do anything that they deserve to get praised for. Similarly, if they are in a situation where they deserve praise and they notice, oh wait, nobody acknowledged that, they might think that they did something wrong, when the fact of the matter is that you perhaps didn't see them or you just didn't say it. So make sure you time it and give them praise accordingly. Not too much, not too little. If you notice a trend when you're giving positive words of affirmation, it's that whoever's giving it is showing positivity. In order to give positive affirmations, one must feel positive about themselves. If I am unhealthy or not feeling well or I'm sick, you think I'm going to be like, oh my God, great job, that was amazing. No, I'm not going to feel up for it. So keep in mind that when giving positive affirmations, it'll also reflect on your personality and your well-being. As parents or caregivers, we should try to be in the best health physically, mentally, and spiritually. That way when we speak to our kids, that positive energy resonates off of us and they can feel it. In a two-parent household, make sure that you guys are encouraging each other so that your children see that this isn't just you doing it to them. They are able to see it in their households and they can mimic it. Or if you're a single parent, this can also work for you. You can have family members or friends show you guys positive encouragement and positive words of affirmation, and your kids can also see that this is how this positive exchange is working. In the book, it tells a story about a young 10-year-old named Cole, and his parents were always saying, I love you, but giving a conditional remark afterwards. So I'm going to read you a quick little excerpt from the book. 10-year-old Cole seemed very lethargic. They had tried all sorts of things to help him be more interested in life, from sports to a dog. They were at their wits' end. They often complained to Cole about his attitude, telling him that he should be thankful to have parents who cared about him, and also that he needed to find an interest he could develop. They even threatened him to take him to a counselor if he didn't get more excited about life. They went to one of Gary Chapman's seminar and they realized, wow, I've given him physical touch, acts of services, and gifts. And they gave him quality time. But the only one they didn't give him was positive words of affirmation. So after the seminar, they came up with a plan and they said for 1 month, we're going to try and see if this works. We're going to give him positive words of affirmations without anything else being tied with it. So for example, whenever he did something that would merit a positive affirmation, such as when he fed the dog, they didn't say, oh, it's about time, she was starving. They just said, thanks for feeding the dog, I appreciate it. Or it says here that he had like a really athletic build, and when he did something that he used his strength, they just gave him affirmations and they're like, wow, you're really strong. They weren't like, wow, you're strong. Have you considered playing football? No, they just gave him a positive compliment and they let it ride. Surprisingly, the parents say that this worked for them. They had tried everything else, as I mentioned, and the only thing that they didn't do was give him positive praise whenever he did something. Even though they were giving him praise, it was always tied to something else. Like, for example, they mentioned that they were saying, you're so tall, you should try to do basketball. You know, why are you at home, being lazy? Do something. Or they were saying, we love you, but I feel like you should be doing something more with your life instead of, playing video games. Like, as soon as you say but, it contradicts everything you just said. But luckily for these parents, this simple change in their life seemed to have worked. This is a clear example of a child's primary love language. You can be doing all the other acts that it mentions in the book, but there's always that one love language that really resonates with them. And if that love tank is empty, they're not gonna really, jive with the other ones, because that's not what they want. That's not what they want to hear. That's not what they want to feel. That's not what they want inside. They want a certain kind of love language, and if that one's not being met, all the other ones are nice and all, but they're lacking. Now, I know that sometimes it's hard to give words of affirmation because you may not always catch your child in the act, or you don't want to, spoil them with your words. So if this is hard for you, a tip that the author mentions is to just keep a notebook or open up notepads in your phone. And when you hear other parents giving their child's positive affirmations, jot down those examples. If you happen to come across an article, jot down those positive words that pop out at you. After you found a couple positive affirmation words or phrases, you want to practice those words in the mirror. The more often you say them, the more these words will become your own. And you can even add little twists to them, but they don't have to be word for word, like if you're memorizing something. Then consciously look for opportunities where you can give your child these words of affirmation. And you want to do this at least 3 times throughout the day. If you find that you are reverting back to your old ways where you're giving them positive affirmations attached to a but or just speaking to them negatively, just always try to be mindful of what you're saying. And if you catch yourself saying one of those things, just simply apologize. An apology goes a long way because as adults to our children, we're never wrong. We're put on a pedestal. You know, we're always right. They're always wrong. So when we actually admit our mistakes, it's like, oh, you're human too. And it's like, yeah, I'm just, I'm sorry. I'm a human. I made a mistake. I didn't mean to yell at you. I didn't mean to embarrass you. Ask for forgiveness, just like we would in a normal relationship. Now, at the end of the chapter, it seems like he always gets little pieces from children that he's had counseling sessions with, and they always tell him how they know that they feel loved. So in the book, he mentions a few kids, and I'm just going to read to you a couple of examples in how they told him that they know their parents love him or her. Now it says, Melissa, age 8. I love my mother because she loves me. Every day she tells me she loves me. I think my father does too, but he never tells me so. Maybe he doesn't know that that's her primary love language, and he's showing her love by, showering her in gifts or physical touch by playing a sport or something. Another example is from a 12-year-old named Taylor who apparently broke her arm this year. And it says, I know my parents love me because while I was having such a hard time keeping up with my schoolwork, they encouraged me. They never forced me to do homework when I wasn't feeling well, but told me I could do it later. They said how proud they were that I was trying so hard, and they knew that I would be able to keep up eventually. So if you're having a hard time, and if you don't know what words of affirmation are, or you probably just don't feel like, you want to say them for whatever reason, there's more than one way of getting positive affirmations across to your child. You can draw them a picture if you're artistic. You can shoot them a text message or write them an email, or even put a Post-it in their lunchbox so that when they get to school, they can see, "Aw." So in the back, it always gives you examples of what positive affirmations look like and what you can do. So I'm just going to read a couple of examples here. It says, take a picture or another creation your child has made and frame it with a note of why it means so much for you. So our kids are super artistic for the most part, and they're always drawing little pictures and say, here you go, mommy, this is for you. So take one of those beautiful pictures that he or she may have drawn, frame it, put it in your office or on your nightstand next to your bed, and you can write a little note and it can say, I love this picture because you're holding my hand. Something like that, something specific that it'll be like, oh, they really love this picture. Or if you're one of those super busy parents that work out of town for a couple days, you can leave them a couple of notes, one for each day that you're apart, and you can tell them how much you miss them or what you love about them, what makes them so special. Or it says here, make a habit of mentioning something specific you've observed that highlights your child's accomplishments. For example, I really appreciated how you showed kindness to that other child. Or, I like the positive attitude you had during the game. If you and your child are at home, just randomly say, hey, Susan, yes, Mom, I love you. Just like, and it'll just catch them off guard because it's so like random. Like, okay, sure, that even makes me smile. When your child is feeling down, maybe they're sad or they don't feel well or something happened and they're mad, just share a couple of positive things that you like about them. Be like, hey, I know you're sad right now, but I really love when you ... Or you did great today when ... Just give them some nice examples throughout the day that they did something positive and you remembered, but perhaps you didn't really tell them. Or just, reiterate what they've done in a positive way. All right, guys, that was my little recap of Chapter 2, Words of Affirmation. And remember, words of affirmation are not something that you do all the time or for average, actions that they do. And don't accompany words of affirmation with a limited condition. If you forgot what that means, a limited condition would be, you run so fast, you should try out for the track team. Just say wow, I'm so proud of you. You ran really fast, and leave it at that. If they're into sports, great. If they're not, don't try to push it on your kids. There's an ancient proverb that says, the tongue has the power of life and death. It's true. Remember that old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me? False. Words are very hurtful, and they are also very impactful, both in a positive way and in a negative way. So before we use our tongue to cause mal or for positivity, let's think before we say something hurtful, and let's think about, okay, am I attaching this positive phrase with a condition? No? Okay. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this, and stay tuned for next week's review. It's going to be on quality time, my second favorite love language next to physical touch. All right, see you guys then.